So it's great to be back on campus. It looks a lot different than when I was here. The campus is beautiful. The student body looks a lot different than when I was here. When I was here, it was all boys, and they went co-ed the year after I graduated. But it was funny, a little side story. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma last week, and I sit on this National Advisory Board for Arts Education, and I was speaking with one of the new members, and we were talking about our backgrounds, and I said I was from Boston. She said, oh, I went to boarding school in Boston. And I said, oh, which one? I said, well, Walnut Hill. I said, oh, I went to Portsmouth Abbey. She said, oh my gosh, we used to get bussed down to your school for dances. And that's what they used to do, just bus girls in to dance with us. And so, it turns out she graduated in '89, I graduated in '90, but it turns out we never danced. You know, coming back and speaking here, never, when I was out sitting with you all, never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be asked to come back and give a Don Luke Child's lecture. It wasn't on any of our radars. If you ask my dad, who's sitting in the back right now, and some of the faculty that was here, that you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who would say, oh yeah, he's going places. He's going to be the one to come back and share his story. And it's funny because I'm still connected with a lot of my friends from the Abbey. And one of them, John Bird, he lives up in San Francisco. He's doing well up in San Francisco in the software industry. But he heard I was giving this lecture, and of course, through the power of Facebook, we're all connected now. And he said, who would have thunk back when we were when we held back for spring break, cleaning Silman Hall, that you'd be the class Don Luke lecture speaker? And I had to laugh because the memory of why we were held back for spring break, we had pulled a prank that, upon reflection, probably wasn't really too well thought out, and we can laugh about it now. My dad wasn't laughing about it at the time. But I won't get too much into it, but there used to be a farm at the top of Corey's Lane, and we thought it was a bright idea one night to borrow some of the animals and enter Stillman Hall in the dead of night. And so when the kitchen staff came in the morning, Betty had the opportunity to serve fresh eggs, bacon, or milk. But there's a dispute. I was talking to my dad last night. He's like, no, I think the cow was on the holy lawn because we couldn't get into the dining hall. And I said, you're probably right. It gives new meaning to the word holy cow. But when I used to come to these lectures and sit out there, I, of course, paid very close attention to every word the person was saying. I'd sit out there and view the person up on stage as somebody that was so foreign to me, somebody that held far greater intellect, far greater knowledge, power, and success than I would have the capabilities of ever achieving. They were part of a special group of people that had made it. And not only made it, but made it to the point where people were interested to hear what they had to say. They were asked to give talks. And so I find myself up here asking how the hell did I get up here? And does anybody really care what I have to say? I won't be offended if some of you nod off or start talking to other people, but I can't say the same that Mr. McDonough won't be offended by that. My hope today, though, is that maybe I can provide some hope and maybe a little inspiration for especially students out there who struggle a little bit in the classroom as a student. I wasn't a very strong student at all, and I was a little bit lost at the Abbey at times, both emotionally and socially in the classroom. But the Abbey never gave up on me. So I'm hoping today that by sharing my story, I can help inspire a few youth out there trying to find their path. I think it would be helpful to paint a little picture of who I was when I was here at the Abbey, beyond the animal incident. Being asked to give this lecture, it really made me reflect on my time here. And I went to some of my old yearbooks to kind of think back on my time. And in one of them, I found a folded up piece of paper. I opened it up, and it was a character sketch that a third former had done on me as a sixth former. It was for Father Damien's English 1 class. And I don't know if he still has you guys do these character sketches, but you have to describe a sixth former without using their name. And so I have it. Actually, this isn't the original. I got off the plane yesterday and realized I left my original at home. I felt like I left my homework. Well, Dean was going to be mad at me, but I'd like to share this with you because I laughed because it rang really true. So, it's a character sketch of the sixth former by Brendan A. Hard. The sixth former is a medium-height man weighing about 155 pounds. He isn't big, so he isn't strong. But on the other hand, he isn't weak. He has brown hair and eyes. John is white, but his skin seems to be tan. One special feature is the way he walks. John also wears an old maroon-billed white hat that has some lettering on it. He also wears his pants rolled up at the bottom. John is somewhat sloppy in his appearance. His shirt tail is out, and in his room, which reflects his untidy lifestyle. You can barely get around in it because of all the stuff on the floor. But besides that, he wears clean clothes. So messy but unclean. John likes to play sports. I don't know what his fall sport was, but he played varsity hockey and lacrosse. You guys are going to win against Moses Brown today. He enjoys music from the 60s, especially the Grateful Dead. His room is adorned with music posters and things cut out of magazines about the 60s. He is well liked by his peers and teachers. I don't know how other underclassmen feel about him, but everyone liked him on the hockey team. He didn't make honor roll last term. I don't think he was much of a student. He is, though, a pretty good artist. I believe John enjoys going out and having fun with his friends at parties. He's a nice guy to everyone I know. He knows. So yeah, that pretty much sums me up. A well-liked but troublemaking, academically challenged, messy, hockey-playing artist who loved the Grateful Dead, partying with his friends, and being nice to everyone. Now, wouldn't you expect me to come back and give this lecture today? But not much has actually changed. You know, I read that and I said, how did I get from out there to up here? As I read that and reflected on it, I'm like, well, yeah, not much has really changed, except I'm a little bit heavier than 155 pounds, and I'm starting to lose a little hair. But basically, my personality, my talents, and my passion are the same today as they were back then. I just utilize them differently. Even what may have been seen as a liability back then can be seen as an asset now, like organizing a bunch of my friends to borrow some animals, or also throwing big parties with my friends. If you look at it differently, now we call that team building and fundraisers. So now I realize that all the people that I heard up here speaking to me while I was sitting out there are really no different than who I was. They just matured a little bit, or a lot. They got to a point in their lives where they had found a purpose, something that they were passionate about, cared deeply for, and worked extremely hard to achieve. So let me tell you how that happened for me. After I left the Abbey, I headed south, both figuratively and literally. Deep south to a small Jesuit arts college called Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama. You can ask, why did I choose to go to Mobile, Alabama to go to school? And it was quite easy. Easiest choice I made. It was the only college that I got into. And I tell you, I remember those days going to the mailroom, and we'd be getting the letters from the colleges, and all my friends were getting all these acceptance letters, and I was getting all these rejection letters. And it was difficult. I mean, I was like, I know I wasn't a great student. I know I got in a little bit of trouble, but was it really that bad? Nobody wanted me? And I barely got into Spring Hill. It was one of my classmates, Tim McCoo, he was going there also. His dad was an alumni there, so my dad called his dad, was like, can you just make sure he gets in there? He needs to go somewhere. He's not coming back home. And so I got in and headed to Mobile, Alabama. And obviously I seized the opportunity that was given to me. Not really, I hadn't matured to that point where I needed to, as I mentioned before. It was my freshman year there made my time at the Abbey look like I was a scholar and a saint. And towards the end of my freshman year, I got a letter from the school saying, we're not sure if this is the right fit for you. Maybe you should take some time off to reflect and reassess if this is a good match. It's code for you're suspended next semester. What was happening parallel to that Oh, by the way, they just asked me to come back and do the commencement speech at the college this year, so. But what was happening parallel to all that, it wasn't so funny. And towards the end of my freshman year, we got the devastating news, as it alluded to on the Today Show piece, that my mom was diagnosed with cancer, a very rare form of stomach cancer. And if that wasn't bad enough, I came home from college, and my sisters did as well. And my sister Kate, who's a year older than me, she was diagnosed with cancer. My mom was 47 at the time. My sister was 21. And obviously, our whole world was turned upside down. That year was a turning point for me. It took me a couple of years to fully turn my ship around to where it needed to be. But it was at that year that I began to kind of do a little self-reflection and seeing how my actions have been affecting others. I never intentionally tried to hurt anybody or get in trouble. I was just having fun. I wish people would just leave me alone. It's like, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. But that really is the epitome of selfishness, when you don't realize how your actions affect others. So I spent that year at home, and not just that semester, I spent the whole year at home. And as my mom and sister went through radiation and chemotherapy, we experienced a wide range of emotions that year that were really difficult to process. Anger and sadness, a lot of guilt. I carried a lot of guilt for the pain that put my mom through during those years. And so I went to my art and my love of music to get me through that time. And so I used to just go up to my bedroom every day, close the door, put on the Grateful Dead, and paint. And the whole world would disappear. And hours would go by, and I would just feel so much better after one of those sessions. It was just incredibly powerful that I'd go up to that room just really angry and sad and confused. And 3 hours later, I was in a totally different place, and it just struck me how powerful a transformation would take place. And I sat down, I said, if this works for me, I bet you it will work for other kids facing their own pain, whatever was causing it. I wanted to provide that same opportunity, a place for them to escape and express themselves, just feel good again through art. So I sat down and I did a little plan for creating a nonprofit organization that would create an art center, a safe place for kids to come, like I had my bedroom, where they could come and close the door and just shut out the outside world and lose themselves through the arts. There's a great quote from Thomas Merton that I always use, that the arts enable us to lose ourselves and find ourselves at the same time. That's what I wanted to do with these kids. So I sat there and came up with this plan, and I was thinking, what would I name the organization? I was writing down different names and had the Grateful Dead on at the time. And there's a song called Touch of Grey. And there's a lyric in there that says, I will get by, I will survive. And I kind of wrote that down. And I wrote down, art gives me a reason to survive this pain. And it struck me. And I look at a reason to survive, ARTS, bam, that's the name. Not only that, but this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to do in life. I knew I was given this talent as an artist, and this experience was showing me, guiding me, what I'm supposed to do with that. I'm supposed to help other kids through their own pain. So how did I make that connection, going from just feeling good to saying, I want to start a nonprofit and change the world? And to tell you the truth, I don't really know fully. I think that it was an epiphany of sorts that I really had no control of, but I do think I was open and aware to receive, I don't know, the message, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but to receive this idea. And really, over time, I've developed this belief system that the answer lies within all of us. I think we're all given God-given talents and passions and interests. We're born with it, and we develop them over our life. That's our foundation. And then we're put through a series of life experiences, both good and bad, that give us clues and kind of guideposts on what we're supposed to do with them. We have free will, so you can use those passions and talents in a negative way, like I did in the first half of my life. Or else you can use them to serve others and help others and use them more positively. I think the most powerful clues come in our darkest times, when we're really feeling in a dark place, that we're able to understand what we're supposed to do in life. You just have to be open and aware to receive that guidance. And I think like 99% of us aren't. There's so much noise on the outside. There's so much noise and influence that we don't really take the time to self-reflect. The secret is it's right there in front of you the whole time, or better yet, it's within you. You just look inside. I think another thing that helped me be open to this idea is that I've always had this interest or fascination in death. And not in a morbid way, but I've always, and even when I was younger, I used to read all these books on the afterlife, and the meaning of life. My mom got the biggest kick out of it. I was influenced at an early age by death. When I was younger, my cousin Andy died when he was 18 in a car accident. That really threw me for a loop. I never knew somebody could die that young. And then when I was here at the Abbey, one of my good friends, Doug Brennigmeyer, was killed in a tragic car accident when he was 17, coming back from Newport. A year after I graduated, two of my classmates, Russ Litton and Dan McKinnon, both died. And then two other friends, by the time I was 27, that died, one from heart failure and one fell off the roof. And so it sent a strong message to me that life is short. You never know when it's our time to punch the clock. So if you are lucky enough to find your passion and your talents and your purpose, what will you do with them? What will you contribute to this world to make it a better place? Today, I'm going to paint a broad brushstroke here, but I think there's some validity in it. Today we live in a society that lives at the expense of others. We're selfish and greedy, and nothing is ever enough, and it never will be. The news today is filled with headlines of business leaders, politicians, and even everyday people that live at the expense of others for personal gain and satisfaction. Now, I'm not saying to give up money or your material goods, devote yourself to a life of poverty and service of others, unless that's your thing, and more power to you, it's great. I like money, I like nice things. What I'm saying is that no matter what you do in life, whether it's both in your career and your personal life, but especially as you focus on career, is an opportunity to serve others. Whether you're an investment banker, a street sweeper, a plumber, or a business leader, you have the opportunity to serve others, to make others' lives better and easier. So you have to ask yourself, if what you are doing, am I hurting people or helping to lift people up? And so I chose to lift people up through art and creativity. That was my passion, and that was my opportunity to help others. I wanted a little side note too. If you're sitting in this room today, you are extremely lucky. And I know we've got a diverse student population from all kinds of backgrounds. It's one of the best things about the Abbey, that you get to meet all these incredible people from all parts of the world, all socioeconomic backgrounds. But if you're in this room today, you're lucky, because you've been given this opportunity for a great education, but I'll argue as well that just as much outside the classroom as inside the classroom, you've been given this amazing network of peers. These friendships you form now, if you choose to, you can carry them with you throughout life. I'm still great friends with a lot of my friends from the Abbey. You've been given access to these incredible faculty that really believe in all of you and support you. And you've access to all these alumni that can help you achieve your goals and dreams, and vice versa, you can help them. It's something that cannot be understated. We live in a very interdependent world. And you'll find as you go out there in the world that the system isn't equal for everybody. The system doesn't work that way. There's lots of people out there that don't have the access and opportunity that we all do in this room. So it's our job and it's our role to reach out to those people and help them, give them the opportunity and the access that we have. And I chose to do that through arts, my organization. As we mentioned, we use the arts and creativity to create positive change and transformation in children's lives. And when I first started it, it was more just to make kids feel good again and just give them a break from their difficult lives. And as I got to know the kids and what their needs were, I realized that was really only the first step. That was really only just helping them in a very small way. We needed to really create a program that could set them up for success and give them pathways to success. And so we developed this program model that could follow kids over a long period of time and meet them where they are in their crisis. So we have therapeutic arts programming, and that moves into arts education, and then that moves into college and career preparation in the arts and creative industries. And so we're kind of a one-stop shop that can bring kids from crisis to career using the arts and creativity and really have an impact and really change their lives. But creating arts was no easy task. Nothing ever is. My sister, who recovered, bought me a book on how to start a nonprofit in 2001. I opened up to chapter 1, form a board of directors. So I did that, reached out to my boss at the time, reached out to an accountant on my hockey team. I was still playing hockey. And I formed this ragtag group of people to be my first board of directors. And I thought money would just roll in. I'm helping kids, we're doing art, who won't give money to that, right? And so this was in July of 2001. And 2 months later, 9/11 happened. And it shook the country, and the economy hit the tank. And there was no money to be given, especially for a new nonprofit, and especially a nonprofit that wasn't providing some direct services like shelter or food, just really difficult. But I didn't give up. We just pivoted. Instead of creating this art center, I said, well, let's go to the kids. I'll just start going to Ronald McDonald House and Children's Hospital and work directly with the kids and help them change their environments where they are. And so that's what we did. And after 2 years of that, we had tremendous impact. And we had started to gain momentum. But I was running out of steam. And I was on the verge of giving up. It was just too hard. And so there were a number of times throughout art's history that I wanted to give up and walk away. But the first one was about 2 years in. And I had no money. I remember one day I was looking at my couch for change to eat. I'm like, I'm a college graduate. I'm like, this isn't how it was supposed to work out. Like, why am I looking at my couch? I checked the couch the night before, and there was no change in it. I was hoping there was some secret pocket that it all fell into. There wasn't. There's no change to be had. So I called my dad. He was my greatest cheerleader and advisor. He had started his own company. And so I always looked to him for advice. I said, Dad, this isn't what I expected. I'm going to throw in the towel. He said, no. He's like, year 2, year 3, this is when most people would give up. Stick with it. You've got a strong mission. You've got a strong business plan. And most of all, look at the impact you've had on these kids. You can't give up on these kids. I said, you're right. I'll give it a go. And so, but I needed a sign. I needed one of those guideposts or clues that I was on the right path. And so I didn't have time to wait for one, so I decided to create one. I said, so we had this big grant out at the time, and we had never received a grant. We had gotten a small grant before. But I said, okay, if we get this grant, we push through, and we go move on. If not, I don't care what my dad says, I'll figure out something else to do. But it was difficult, because this was my dream. And we got the grant, obviously. And it was a huge grant. It was $100,000 from the California Endowment, which is the largest foundation in California. And more important than the money was the message they sent with that, saying, we too believe that the arts are powerful to change kids' lives. And it gave us validation that our program was worthy. And other foundations and other philanthropists started to get on board. And we began to grow. And we started serving more and more kids. And I stepped away from actually serving the kids hands-on because I assessed my role, what's my best role in the organization, and it was to build the organization and to raise money for it. And I felt I can be creative. This would be my canvas, and I'll create this organization, and I'll train others to do the hands-on work with the kids. And so we started a volunteer program. We started training people from the community who partnered with local colleges, and they became the front lines in working with the kids. You know, people say, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. It's total BS. It is. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be frustrating. You're going to want to give up. But it's that love that will see you through those times. It's the passion and that sense of purpose that will bring your work ethic and dedication to the next level to help you achieve those dreams. You know, it's after we received that grant and started to grow, the dream was realized. We opened up the first art center in 2007. It was incredible. We had this space. It had a music room, a visual arts room, a media arts room, a gallery. The dream had been realized from when I was 19 years old, close to your guys' age. It was finally going to come true. There were lots of kids in there, and it was going great. And then what else happened in 2007 and 2008? The economy tanked again, and it was hard to find money. And it was hard to keep the doors open, and it was very painful. I had to lay off staff. We had to do furloughs. We had to cut programs. And again, I was thought about giving up. And I needed a sign. I needed a guidepost. And it was frustrating because we had this impact on all these kids. If there was any way we could show others the impact we were having, if we could find a way to help get the word out more. And I got a call out of the blue one morning. It was, the couple nights before, I was talking to my wife in the kitchen, and she said, I haven't seen you smile in over a year. And it was true. It was really, I wasn't having fun, and it was more difficult than I thought. I was like, I think I'm gonna throw in the towel. Maybe I'll hire somebody to run the organization. I've given birth to this organization. Maybe it's time for somebody else to take it on that has the energy. And so I kind of held that, and I was like, well, I need a sign, I need a guidepost, and tell me what I should be doing. And I got a call out of the blue from filmmakers, Sean and Andrea Fine, who were some filmmakers in Washington, D.C., and they saw statistics that 1 in 45 youth in America are homeless. 1 in 45 here in America, they're homeless, they experience homelessness, and they were blown away by that. And they wanted to tell that story, and they wanted to create awareness around this issue that a lot of people didn't know. When you think of homelessness, you think of an old person, usually a male, pushing a shopping cart around the street. But the new face of homelessness is under 18. So I got a call, and they said, we want to tell the story through the eyes of a homeless teenager. More importantly, we want to tell the guy through the eyes of a homeless teenager that dreams of being an artist. I was like, are you kidding me? Because they too believed in the power of art to change kids' lives, and they were using the power of film to change lives. And they've been searching the country for about a year, and they'd find the right teenager, but not the right story, and the art, not the right art, but not the right student. So they get frustrated. And literally what happened is they found an article online about a reason to survive. And they said, let's give him a call and see if he has any students. And unfortunately, we have a number of students that are homeless. And as they started explaining who they were looking for, the type of person, type of personality, the kind of art, a student of ours popped to mind. And she'd been in our program since she was 12. She was about 15 at this point. And so, yeah, I think I've got somebody you might be interested in. And so they flew out and met her. And they agreed. They fell in love with her. And they said, we want to tell her story. She's the one. And so that film turned into the documentary in a century. So this was the little film that could. When Sean and Andrea approached us to film it, they had a producer on board, and after filming a few weeks, some things happened and the producers backed out. And so they were out of money, but they believed in the project and they kept on going without getting paid until they brought a new producer. So the film kept on being put on the shelf. So it started filming in 2009, and it didn't get released until 2012. So it took about a year to film different parts of it. And then it got released in 2012, and it got rejected. At the very first film festival it was admitted to, which was the San Diego Latino Film Festival. And remind you, we're from San Diego, and Vicente is Latino. So what we found was that it's a documentary short, which is, usually documentary shorts are less than a half hour, and the feature lengths are over 60 minutes. This is about 42 minutes. And so they said, oh, it's hard to fit into our programming. I'm like, yeah, but we're San Diego, which is Latino. So it got rejected at a few film festivals at the beginning, and we were worried. We're like, is this film any good? And we thought it was good. And then it slowly started to pick up some steam and started getting accepted at film festivals and started winning some awards. And then it got bought by MTV for TV, and they aired it that summer, which was great. And then in January of last year, it got nominated for an Oscar. And we were blown away. And we were, I mean, you can't imagine what was going through our minds at the time. And, you know, all the experts were picking this other film, Open Heart, to win. And they would always pick Innocente as number 3 or 4 out of the films to win. So we had low expectations. And I mean, honestly, you know, people say it's an honor just to be nominated. It really was. I mean, we were just like, let's go to the Oscars, let's have fun, and just, it's incredible. We really wanted to win for Sean and Andrea because it was never our dream, mine or Innocente's, to win an Oscar, but it was Sean and Andrea's, and their previous film had been nominated but didn't win. So we went to the Oscars and did the red carpet and sat in the seats and just waited. And I didn't think I was going to be nervous, I just wanted to enjoy it, but I was a wreck. But I was there, and it was an incredible night and powerful. You just think, the power of art. It brings a homeless, undocumented girl from the streets of San Diego to the stage of the Academy Awards. And so the power of art and film. So, you know, overnight, Arts, A Reason to Survive has become a success. An overnight success that has taken 13 years of blood, sweat, and tears, lots of up and downs to achieve. And I don't even see us as a success yet. I mean, there's so much we still need to do and want to do. We're almost there, but we can use these kind of successes to leverage to serve more kids. We just opened up a new 20,000 square foot art center in National City, which is a little bit south of San Diego. It's the poorest city in San Diego County, where 48% of the population live below the federal poverty line. And there's lots of kids that need help. But even beyond National City, kids all around the country, just like Innocente, they need help, and the arts are their pathway out. So we really want to create a movement. We want to engage others, engage you guys, and get involved. If you love art in the art department here, then we're going to talk to some of you guys later. There's no reason why you can't do it here in Portsmouth. I mean, one kid, one child at a time, you can make a difference. So I kind of wanted to close today with a thought and a question. As I mentioned earlier in the talk, life is really short, and we really don't know when it's our time to go. We're born, and we take our first breath. Eventually, we'll exhale our last. So my question to you is, what will you do in between breaths? Thank you.